So sound can be a really like strategic healing tool as well.
Well, it's a physical sound wave.
Correct.
That passes through you and around you. Your human biofield is extremely sensitive to everything from electrosmog like Wi-Fi and 5G or whatever. But when you apply these physical sound waves, it's almost like an energetic massage in a lot of ways. You're tuned into Everything's Energy Show, where we talk about how everything is energy, and we are going to take a deep dive down the rabbit hole of energy, frequency, and vibration in the form of sound healing, and perhaps even maybe electronic music and maybe the tribalism that surrounds that, the flow and energy that just makes people want to move, shake, and come together. I'm joined today by Roland and Marino, and we are going to dive. So Marino, you had some really interesting perspective on sound healing, and you learned about it, and I thought it was a great opening for you to jump into it.
Yeah, so a common thing that's kind of brought up in the centers is doing sound baths. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, I just thought, I don't know, I didn't find a lot of value in it. I guess it was almost
hippie
like, hippie stuff. But it's almost the same to like meditating, right? In the beginning, it was that way, but then like I went on my journey and I learned a lot and get a lot of value out of it. And so it's kind of the same thing with sound healing. So I have a friend who does it, and it wasn't until she broke it down for me at a scientific level that I was like, oh, okay. And it's not even all that technical or anything, except for the resonance and how it affects the vagus nerve in the body, and how those vibrations have an influence on the vagus nerve, which then, has an effect on your entire nervous system, which Roland, I'm sure you know all about.
Well,
and maybe you can speak more to that.
I mean, HRV is kind of my jam, right? And it's interesting you say that with sound healing, because I was a little bit in your camp of like, what is this? Okay, you ding a bowl, you do the thing, and there's a sound that comes out. But the more I've experienced sound healing, I don't know if you guys have done this.
Love it.
Do you not feel the music in a totally different way? Like, it's not an auditory experience. To me, It's a kinesthetic experience. It's a body wave buzz. And I'm like you. I want to know the science behind things rather than just going through it. So there's what frequency, Hertzian frequencies that the bowls are tuned to, right? So you can have a 440, which most music is. Mike, you should know this more than anyone. Most music nowadays is not optimally aligned because a better frequency to resonate with human body is 432. Mm-hmm. So when the bowls are 432 versus 440, you may not be able to distinguish the difference unless you have a trained ear, but it feels different. Mm-hmm. It's the best thing I can explain. Oh. And each bowl has a resonance with an energy center in the body, the chakras. I always look at things through a healing lens. So you can have a lower frequency like a 396, which is going to be something for the lower energy centers. As you go up to like an 852, you might be hitting the third eye with the higher pitched, smaller bowls. And when people come around and they go close to you, you can actually feel the resonance in your body, especially if you get out of your mind and get into the feeling of the body. I don't know if you guys have had that experience.
No, I really love sound healing, especially in the technology where, you're already in a very relaxed state, energetic, rich environment, but it just helps you go deeper when you're hearing sounds, and we resonate with those sounds on those specific areas. So, 30 hertz is going to be your lower chakra, and the higher frequency up into 10K and above is up top head or higher. Mm-hmm. And I think we do have an ethereal body that actually does reside outside of our physical body. So I find with sound healing, especially in the systems, that I just go so much deeper, so much faster. It's a transport mechanism, really, if you will, to getting into a deeper state of meditation, because that's the first place I go. Is it allows my brain to focus on something outside myself, but it's also an internal feeling, so a resonance inside. So my brain shuts off, and I feel in that moment with that sound, and I'm just like, okay, this is amazing, and I kind of feel high. Not that you don't feel high in the EE system already a little bit, but it's a very tangible high. When you do those sound baths, so to speak, inside the systems, people doing it other places. Do you guys have a similar feeling with that?
I do. I know that it's also different than just listening to the same sounds over a speaker. Because if you look at the diaphragm and the way that it warps, right, when it's vibrating, it's very different than having glass vibrating. So you get a more consistent, there's like more integrity to that frequency. If you were to get some like really expensive high end,
it's like organic or analog versus a digital reproduction.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So there's warping in the diaphragm of like regular speakers versus like having a glass like vibrate and you getting that. And I think the closer we are to find the fine tuned frequency, the more I feel it. And so I think that's way better having sound baths and centers than it is like playing music or doing anything like that or sound over speakers.
Well, and let's not shoot, there's amazing musical productions out there where they spend a lot of time and they tune it to 432 and different wellness frequencies, and you can find them all over YouTube. Some of them really, I'm just like, I listen as a music producer or X one. I'm just like, wow, someone spent a lot of time really fine tuning this because I feel it like I'm on this little like musical journey. So we won't shoot the musical productions in the foot there, but I think you're right. I think the physical vibrations of something organic in the space with those bowls, whether they're glass or metal, and the tuning, and also the intention of the person doing it, because you typically have like a sound shaman or a sonic shaman there putting their intention, their love and energy into the experience they're trying to gift people around them. And I think that's also extremely profound for people to experience someone else's expression, because every time they hit that, they're broadcasting their intention through that. And sound is a carrier wave. It carries a lot of information, whether it's you want to get raw with a Hertzian or an intention, it's a carrier frequency. And I just love how that works.
You know what's interesting about what you just said? So the human body is mostly water. Have you guys seen the emotions being put into water? Or have you seen the cymatics where they take sound and they create like a mandala or whatever the
it looks like sacred geometry at certain points, or mandalas. And
I've thought about this from a perspective of a health lens, because I'm always trying to think about what can make someone healthier. So a long time ago, someone told me, be mindful of the frequencies you expose yourself to. And back then I'm like, what do you mean by the frequencies? Most music nowadays is disruptive frequency to the body if it's not either ideally tuned or has some sort of intention behind the sound. And when sound hits the body, it's influencing, like you said, the vagus nerve and the nervous system. I think that's why people are drawn to it. It really pulls them into a state of more alpha theta brain waves, which is more aligned with the present moment. And I think this is a little bit of the unconscious draw to sound healing that I think the uprising of popularity is pulling people in. Their physiology knows something, the body consciousness is pulling them in, rather than just going, I like sound baths.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
and adding to that, I also think that it's such a powerful tool to help bring someone to another state without forcing them. Like if you think about of any form of therapy or like helping someone, sometimes you're like trying to get them to see something, but the beauty with music is that you can do it through the music, through the effects that it has. And you can pull that person into that space without forcing them or telling them that they should do something. And you can kind of take them on that journey without actually you physically touching them or influencing them directly, except for the intentions that you set through the music or the sound that you're making.
Yeah, I think people, they're resonating with something, so they're coming back to it again and again, and to your cymatic expression of that too, so that the body's reorganizing under it and it's literally happy. So the cells are like, oh, I'm happy. And so the mind's consciousness go, oh, this feels good. Like, I like this. It's kind of sexy or a little vibey or like whatever. Yeah, I like this. Yeah. So, and it's a circuit. And it's a circuit, and it's a natural high too. So people are naturally inclined to do things that feel good. That's why people have sex and they drink coffee and they drink alcohol. They're like, oh, this feels good in the moment. And some of these things have negative effects. Sound healing, I don't, can you think of a single negative effect? Oh, and a proper sound healing. Obviously, if you're listening to grunge music or heavy metal, maybe it might be canceling out an angry person's listening to something angry, and then maybe it's a phase conjugation there where they're like, two negatives make a positive. I feel better now. Like, I don't know. I'm theorizing. I'm trying to, like, as a teenager, you're kind of angsty, so you listen to some of these weird music. Double angry. Yeah, no, I mean, that's valid.
I don't think it's a negative effect, but I think there can be an experiential aspect that would be challenging for someone, because sound changes energy. So let's say someone has an emotional trauma or something in them. Sound healing can involuntarily release that from the body, maybe when that person might not be expecting it, might not be ready for it. So I think sound healing can create a powerful emotional release. And maybe if you're in a group of people that you don't know, you don't want to be that one person tweaking in the corner trying to deal with some PTSD
or crying
from the past, or having a massive crying spell. ultimately it's a beneficial thing, but I think we have to respect that sound is a form of healing. So to your question, I think that would be the only consideration, to where if there's something in your energy field, the catalyst of sound might push that to the surface a little bit more quickly than you would want otherwise.
Yeah. At Tony Robbins events, he uses music super intentional, and he'll kind of set you up with a story to kind of bring you on this journey to experience a set of emotions, so that then you can look at the problem through a different lens, right? And he uses music extensively. And it was there, I think, the first time that I've ever experienced a very like humanitarian or global citizen kind of feeling connected to everyone. And then once he lays that with some music, it's just like he'll put on Bonfire, and it's just like we're all there, we're strangers, just like hugging each other, and like we're all one. And it's like it's so powerful, bringing us together or shifting us out of like a certain kind of frequency, which is like an emotion, right? So that we can kind of process what we're going through differently.
Yeah, I mean, back in my DJ years, I was always trying to figure out what brought people together in the music. It's really, if you take, it's a synchronization really, because you put 100 people in a room and they all start moving to the same beat, this tribalism, they're all one all of a sudden. It's a community instantly. And then you have this rise and fall of different emotions that occurs in the music. And I would always program out very intentional sets, because I would dive through all this different music and weed out what I would resonate with, and hopefully the people in front of me would resonate with. And that's what actually made me I won't say amazing DJ, but I was decent, is I could take people on this emotional journey through the music, and I knew everything about intention and frequency too. So that you would never find anything ill-intended in the music. It was always a very one conjoined, like, bring everyone together. How am I going to make this dance floor make love to each other with clothes on, obviously, a kind of theory. And it's the connectivity is really, I think, what draws people to electronic music. It's they want to come together because society is so fractured throughout all of our day-to-day things. Everyone's on their phone, they're at work, and they don't like people there. They're just looking for a community where they can isolate themselves while being social at the same time, because most people aren't talking on a dance floor. It's too loud, but they're all moving to that same beat, and they're like, yeah, this feels good. And at what other instance do you have people just randomly breaking down in a dance or movement, and which is also healing, because you're now moving, you're exercising, you're
moving energy through the body,
and you're having a feeling. You're just kind of in that moment as one with everyone, all moving and synchronized. It's like a master clock wheel, the music for a group of people to sync up.
So the case I was reading, there was like some study that was done. It was saying that most Americans, they get their exercise from going out and dancing. Because the average American doesn't exercise.
Yeah.
So it's like you go on this emotional journey where you're having a good time, you're connecting with others, which connecting with others is a human need, right?
Yeah.
And then you're moving your body as well. So it's like one of those things that from many different angles is like super beneficial.
Yeah, I've seen articles on these like sober parties where people are waking up, 6 to 8 in the morning, and they're all hitting the major nightclub and like sports gear, and they're just jamming out, dancing and having coffee. And I was like, that's actually a great idea. Like, forget cardio, just go dance.
Yeah, with your friends.
Have you guys tried any other sound healing modalities like tuning forks or Tibetan bowls or I don't know what they are. I've gone to this sound thing in the park where they have these long sticks and they just turn them up and down. So they have layered sound. The rain sticks, they have the triangles, they have they seem almost like indigenous or Native American devices that Have you tried the layering of all of those things together? I
mean, I learned to play the didgeridoo when I was young, and up until it broke at one point, and then I lost it. But I mean, I think all those old tribal instruments have they all have their own frequencies. They all have their own benefit. I'm a big fan of the tuning forks. I played with those over the years too. You like put them on your head, and it literally physical vibrations going through your head, and you're like,
there's a woman,
brain massage.
Yeah, well, there's a woman. Her name's she wrote a book called "Tuning the Human Biofield." And my wife has tuning forks. And I remember I was working with a client one time, and I was looking at him and kind of like feeling into his energy. And I said, there's something on the right side of his field that feels off. So she hit the tuning fork, and it creates a resonance as you put it close to the body. As you move it away, if there's a distortion in the energy field, the field changes, the sound changes. And you can actually reestablish a connection in the person's field. And your validation of it's working is that the sound of the fork, the pitch, actually remains constant as you do your work. So sound can be a really like strategic healing tool as well.
Well, it's a physical sound wave that passes through you and around you. Your human biofield is extremely sensitive to everything from electrosmog like Wi-Fi and 5G or whatever. But when you apply these physical sound waves, it's almost like an energetic massage in a lot of ways, which is why I was really drawn to electronic music and being a DJ. Is you have these gigantic subwoofers and a really well-tuned sound system. You sit in front of it and you're just like, sound bath.
Yeah, it's our car in Burning Man that I'm a part of. They have a Function 1, really expensive sound system. And what I found cool about it was that when they turn it up, it doesn't feel very loud in your ears. They're able to amplify it so that it reaches further lengths, but it still passes through you. And separate from that, the point I wanted to make before too is in terms of the physical aspect of the waves kind of making contact with you, there's also information in that, right? So like, yes, there's this physical phenomena that's occurring, but also there's meaning behind it and how that's interpreted by the body and what effects it has and all that stuff. It's much more than just the frequency of the sound that's coming in.
Well, it's funny you mentioned, so Function 1 and Danley are both actually very spiritually grounded sound companies. Oh, really? Tony Andrews started Turbo Sound and then made Function 1. And if you listen to him talk about his speakers, he's a very hyper spiritual person. And Danley actually started making speakers for churches. So the collaboration of sound healing between they're arguably two of the biggest high quality sound systems that you'll find for electronic music. They're very touted. And it's very interesting to say, but they also have a big emphasis on not being loud, but you feel everything you're supposed to feel, and you hear everything you're supposed to hear and feel all these things. But at the same time, we can have a conversation on the dance floor because a lot of sound systems, it's just loud.
Yeah. And
this is like a sound engineer thing. It's like, well, it should be louder. It's like, no. I don't want my ears to bleed. I shouldn't have to wear earplugs, although I probably should. And a finely tuned sound system, you sit there and you feel everything and you resonate with it, and it doesn't feel like it's attacking you.
It wasn't until I listened to a Function 1 after that I went to a concert and I was like, this sounds horrible.
Yeah. Sound snob.
I was just like, oh, now I guess I'm a sound snob now. But it's a world of a difference in quality.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you guys, because you're the music guy, you're the tech guy, kind of a closing question. Do you think things like sound bowls and other old school devices can be replaced with technology, or do you think there's going to be kind of like a merging of something?
It's analog versus digital. I mean, you can have an analog sound system, but then it's going to still pass through modern day technology. So I think there's a huge aspect of the organic artistry. And I think we'll see AI start to replace a lot of musicians too, sadly. That's coming. Then we'll have another conversation about that. But there's an intentionality that can be transferred probably to a recording device. But the intention of a human biofield being around another biofield while intentionally doing that musical sound healing stuff, I think that's extremely powerful. I don't think you'll be able to replicate that with any modern technology currently we have.
So it's good news for all the sound healers and aspiring sound healers out there. They won't be replaced by something technological.
Yet.
There's still time.
Yeah. I totally agree. Those are two different things. In the very same way, like no matter how you record and replay back your voice, it's not the vibration of your vocal cords. And they're your vocal cords, and it just can't be replicated. So I think that those are two separate domains, and they can both kind of advance in their own scopes, but one won't replace the other. I don't think so.
Well, I guess we'll wrap that. If you enjoyed what we're talking about or have something to chime in, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all those normal things you hear on our streaming channels, and we'll see you next time.